Off-chain transactions are one of the most important innovations in the world of cryptocurrencies and have the potential to solve many of its scalability issues. Understanding how off-chain transactions work is essential to understanding the future of cryptocurrencies. Before going into details, let's start with a brief introduction of what an off-chain transaction is. In simple terms, an off-chain transaction is any transaction that takes place outside the blockchain. Instead of being recorded on the blockchain, these transactions are processed in a separate system and are only added to the blockchain at a later point in time. This contrasts with on-chain transactions, which are recorded directly on the blockchain. Each on-chain transaction requires a significant amount of energy to process, which can be slow and expensive. Furthermore, the amount of transactions the blockchain can process per second is limited, which can lead to delays and congestion. Off-chain transactions, on the other hand, can be processed almost instantly and at a fraction of the cost. This is because they are not subject to the same capacity constraints as on-chain transactions. Additionally, off-chain transactions can be performed privately, which can be an advantage for those who value privacy. There are several different ways to perform off-chain transactions. One is through a system known as payment channels. A payment channel is essentially a contract between two parties that allows them to perform an unlimited number of transactions with each other without having to register each one on the blockchain. To create a payment channel, the two parties involved must first deposit a certain amount of cryptocurrency into an escrow account. They can then carry out as many transactions as they want with each other, as long as the total amount does not exceed the amount deposited in the escrow account. When the parties decide to close the payment channel, the final transaction is recorded on the blockchain along with the final distribution of funds. Another way to transact off-chain is through a system known as sidechains. A sidechain is essentially a separate blockchain that is attached to the main blockchain. Transactions can be moved from the main blockchain to the sidechain where they can be processed faster and more efficiently. Once transactions have been processed on the sidechain, the results can be transferred back to the main blockchain. This allows transactions to be processed off-chain, while still maintaining the security and integrity of the main blockchain. Off-chain transactions have the potential to solve many of the scalability issues that currently plague cryptocurrencies. By allowing transactions to be processed off-chain, they can significantly increase the transaction processing capacity of cryptocurrencies, making them more practical for everyday use. However, there are also challenges to overcome. For example, the security of off-chain transactions can be an issue, as they do not have the same protection as on-chain transactions. Furthermore, implementing off-chain transactions can be complex and requires additional infrastructure. Despite these challenges, off-chain transactions represent one of the most promising innovations in the world of cryptocurrencies. Over time, they have the potential to make cryptocurrencies faster, cheaper, and more efficient, paving the way for even greater adoption.